Start of round 3, the Modern Cash tournament that we have every weekend. We've got Bryan Horstmann versus James Combrink at the feature match. James is playing Dredge, ye old Dredge. Bryan seems to be on his Tron deck today. I don't really know much about this matchup. I'm very interested to see what happens. The opinion is that it's going to be boring as hell. Dredge player is probably just going to make a crazy board state, and Tron is either going to have the Oblivion Stone or the Ugin and manage to get out of it, or not. You know? Looks like Bryan is going down to 6 cards. Not great for him, but if he can't keep an unacceptable hand. His first 3 turns are super critical. Pyroclasm might be, a little embarrassing here. Prized Amalgam has got 3 toughness. I'm just putting things back in the graveyard for the Dredge players. I don't know, it feels bad. I don't know if they've drawn their 7 yet. Looks like both players have mulliganed. Actually, yeah, they've both gone down to 6 cards. The Dredge player has a lot more keepable hands, though. I think he's happy with his 6. Yes, James chooses to keep. Has a peak. Bryan's still deliberating what he's going to do. And he's keeping. So, yeah. James leaves it top. Bryan puts it at the bottom. Looks like James is on the play, and we are off. James opening up with Insolent Neonate. Bryan playing a tower and playing a Chromatic Sphere. James going straight for the fast Dredge, sacking Neonate, discarding Golgari Grave Troll, drawing a card, opting to replace the Dredge with the Golgari Grave Trolls, the draw with the Grave Trolls Dredge. So he's just going to start his second turn with 7 cards in the bin. 6 because Narcomoeba comes into play. It's a 1/1 flyer that can attack from turn 1. That's really good. Just thinking about which land to play. I'm not sure what he's doing. Looks like a fetch land. Yeah, it's a Bloodstained Mire. He's got a Copperline Gorge and a Narcomoeba. I'm not sure what the back 2 cards in his hand are. Bryan's got his cards very close to his chest. I'm not really able to see what's going on there. Cracks the Bloodstained Mire for a Steam Vents, putting him down to 17 points of life. But it's bringing back the Bloodghast that he's dredged into his graveyard. And now he's going to cast his second Narcomoeba, the one that was in his hand. A little embarrassing, but he's got 4 power on board. For the low cost of 2 cards. It's a reasonable start. Bryan's going to hold up at the end of James's turn. No, that's in his own turn. He untaps, cracks for green, plays Ancient Stirrings, hoping to find a second Tron piece. I think he's woofed. Yeah, I could just hear him go, damn, in the background there. That's not great. Awkward. He chooses to reveal the World Breaker, which is not great for him. World Breaker into hand. I hope he had... No, that's not great for him. That is a very, very slow start for the Tron player. He's missed on his first Ancient Stirrings. His second land drop is not a Tron piece. He's got to dig deep. James just starts off his turn by cracking in for 4. Puts Bryan down to 17, I believe. He took 1 point of damage the previous turn. Both players at 17 apiece. James puts the Copperline Gorge in. Costs Conflag Rate for 0 to get it into his graveyard. Now he flashes it back to dump his hand and deal 2 points of damage divided as he chooses. I'm assuming they're going straight to Brian's face. Puts Brian to 15. Grave Troll in the graveyard. See a Judge's Shoe in the bottom corner there. And it's Sylvan Scrying from Brian. He's still got a little bit of time. One more turn perhaps. And it really does have to be an Ugin here. It's Ugin or bust. Possibly an Oblivion Stone, just to save him again, but those creatures will just come back again. I don't know about the Narcomoebs, but the Bloodghast and the Grave Troll, they'll make an appearance again. So what is that? Some other Tron piece. I think it's a mine. Slams a mine. No, it's a power plant. Plays the power plant into Expedition Map, and he's got the ability to find Urza's mine next turn. But I don't know if that's going to be enough, because he might just be dead in the next 2 turns. Unless he top decks and Urza's mine naturally. James putting another point of power on board. And he's dredged a whole bunch of goodness into the graveyard. There's a prized amalgam that he's turned sideways to remind himself to put it into the battlefield at the end step. He's got 2 lands in the burn. That's a Life from the Loam. Some more dredge. What looks like a Stinkweed Imp. He's flashing back the Faith is Looting. Yeah, puts it into exile, and I believe he's going to replace both of his draws with a dredge. He's just thinking about the order to do this in. Maybe he's thinking, do I dredge, do I draw? He knows that Brian can have Tron online 2 turns from now, since he does need to use mana to crack that Expedition Map. Barring the situation where he top decks the other Tron piece, and in that case he's online for an Ugin. Dredge for Stinkweed Imp, puts a Grave Troll in the bin, Dredge for Grave Troll, and now he needs to discard 2 cards with the Faith's Looting. But his graveyard is stacked at this point. This does not look good for the Tron player. He's on a very steady clock. Brian's actually not on 15, he's on 11 at this stage. Prized Amalgam comes into play. And it's Brian's turn. And he better find a way to come back from this, because that is 8 points of damage on the battlefield. This is very, very awkward. Cool, so he pops that Expedition Map, and I believe he's going to find the mine. Is that another tower? Maybe I don't recognize my card art so well, but I do believe that's another tower. Let me have a closer look. No, it's the 3rd piece. Mine Tower Power Plant. James untaps with 8 power on board. Brian on 11 points of life. He's going to dredge for the Life from the Loam. Maybe he wants another land drop. Puts a Bloodghast and a Narcomoeba into the bin. Narcomoeba triggers, enters the battlefield. That Life from the Loam is going to give him another land drop to trigger his Bloodghast. So he casts it, I believe. That is what's happening. Targeting a basic mountain and 2 other lands. Looks like a Bloodstained Maya and a Blood Crypt. Or Stomping Ground, sorry. Plays the land, Bloodghast trigger, into play. Brian is on 11 points of life, so... No, 10? Does Bloodghast have haste? Is Brian on 10? I must have gotten the life totals wrong, but it looks like Brian's on 10 points of life, and Bloodghast presents lethal over there, because that was 8 to 10 power that James went to. Yeah, that was a pretty dismal game for the Tron player. They're going to be sent scurrying to their sideboards now. Bryan Horstmann on green-red Tron. I actually have 2 lists for him. I actually have a deck list for James. No, I don't. Must have a hard copy somewhere. Let me see if I can find it. But Bryan's got 3 Nature's Claim, 2 Pithing Needle, 2 Pyroclasm, 2 Relics, a Sudden Shock, 2 Thrag Tusks, and 3 Warping Whales in his sideboard. And I think that he's definitely going to be bringing in those Relic of Progenitors. That is insta-in. Lightning Bolt could be valuable here. It kills most of the things that come down early. They do recur though, so I don't know. The Oblivion Stone in his main deck also looks pretty good if he can get the turn 3 Tron. I think he keeps in all the selection and sort of pseudo tutor effects he has. And Ugin, because it exiles, is valuable. Maybe he cuts down on his top end a little bit. I don't see how Worldbreaker is as valuable in this matchup. The Wormcoil engine is just an absolute brick for the Dredge player. That 12-point life swing per attack, or just as a blocker, is amazing. It leaves behind friends when it dies. So I'm pretty sure he's gonna trim Wormcoil engine, 2 of them to put in, not Wormcoil engine, Worldbreaker. He's taking out 2 Worldbreakers and putting in 2 Relic of Progenitus. Pyroclasm might be needed for this matchup just to keep the board under control early. And I wish I had a deck list for James because I'm super curious what he sideboards in. I'm sure Bryan's going to choose to be on the play here. Really tough for Tron to deal with this deck outside of a sweeper. He really needs Oblivion Stone. Perhaps a turn 4 Ugin is helpful. I'm not certain that Khan is actually capable of winning the game here, since the amount of power the Dredge player can put on the board from nowhere is, it's 5, 6, up to 8 points of power, sometimes more. It's a large number, and it's more than enough to attack through Khan's +4. Also, his hand is going to be empty pretty soon. You can just conflagrate everything away. So Khan, the exile is relevant, but I don't think he has the kind of impact that it would have in other games. Bryan giving it a good, healthy shuffle. None of that mulligan stuff wanted here. Yeah, I'm certain that Pyroclasm came in. Pithing Needle is not something that we'd have in the deck. He doesn't need it. Relic of Progenitus, obviously. Just looking at some of the other things in the sideboard. Perhaps a Thrag Dusk to try and give him a bit of a life buffer. He is only casting it a turn earlier than usual, but it's good. Warping Whale might come in. It accelerates, so it lets him get Ugin down on turn 3 if everything goes perfectly. It also picks off Narcomoebas, and it counters Faithless Looting, which is something that might hurt James. Bryan choosing to keep, James keeping his hand, and he's going Tower into Expedition Map. Looks like things are going well. James deliberating about his lands again. Nope, not going to play that basic mountain. Instead, I will put down the Copperline Gorge, tap it for red. No. Looks like he might just pass the turn. What is he representing here? What does the Dredge player have to gain by holding up mana? I think it's the looting. He's considering, is it neonate or is it looting? Personally, I would go with the Faithless Looting play first. Since we get some card selection, you can put a Dredger into the graveyard, whereas neonate requires you to have the Dredger in your hand to go off. But it's instant neonate from James. It's exactly the same start as last game for him. But Bryan has a tutor. He has an Urza's Tower. But does he have a way to filter into green? I'm afraid that his natural Tron is not happening, and neither is he going to be able to Tron on turn 3 because of that expedition map. He's forced to take shock here. Puts himself at 18 points of life. Cracks the map. And he's going to fetch another Tron piece there. Looks like power plant. Power plant. 2 out of 3. James says, I'm going to draw so long. But at the end of your turn, I'm going to sacrifice this instant neonate, discarding my Golgari Grave Troll. An identical start to last game for James. And he gets a lot more meat in the graveyard this time. 2 Blood Ghosts, what looks like a Life from the Loam, and a couple of lands. Yep, Dredges for the Life from the Loam. If he doesn't have a lot of land drop in his hand, I don't think that would have been the right thing to do. But if he does, yeah, he has a mountain. Life from the Loam Dredges a Knock Amoeba out. Cost of Faith is looting. Draws 2 cards. And he's going to discard that Grave Troll. Probably the Life from the Loam as well, since he can just dredge it back, and he wants that in the graveyard. Is it the Knock Amoeba? It's a creature he could cost. Life from the Loam isn't as valuable in his hand, but that seems to be the line he's taking. He's discarding a Knock Amoeba. He's choosing which land. It is the mountain. Both Blood Ghosts trigger, return to the battlefield. And Bryan's going to need a sweeper because James has 6 power on board, which is a 3-turn clock. And that's just about the turn that Bryan is going to have Tron online. Sorry, he's online in 2 turns, so if James passes back one more time, Bryan should have Tron, assuming he has a way to find that land. And he does. He's got the Sylvan Scrying. I think he's going to go find that Urza's mine. It's a mine. 3rd Tron piece in hand. Next turn he could be playing Ugin, which is really, really bad news for James. When it exiles his whole board, and that is not where he wants them to be going. He doesn't mind his creatures dying because he can get them back, but Ugin is going to be really putting the hurt on James here. Hopefully he has one in his hand. I don't see it. Looks like he's got lands and like a couple of chromatic spheres. James is just thinking about his life. Discards Life from the Loam to instant neonate, and then replaces the draw with the Dredge from Golgari Grave Troll. Sees some lands, a Life from the Loam, and what looks like a Stinkweed Imp. That is correct. That goes to James's hand. Untap, upkeep, draw. Draw is being replaced. He's thinking about it. I think he's going for the Dredge 5. Yep, Stinkweed Imp. Is that the line that he should take? Looks like it's a Life from the Loam. As far as I know, he has one in his hand though. 3 cards down. Puts another Faithless Looting in the graveyard, which is great. Thing about Dredge is it sees more cards than any other deck. It's that if there was like a 1 to 10 scale for how much velocity a deck has, Dredge would be exploding out the top. Like 10 is not a big enough number. This thing is the embodiment of velocity. It goes in. You might just deck yourself. And he's going to cost Life from the Loam for Confluence, Blood Crypt, and a Wooded Foothills. It looks like he has a Conflag Lake in hand, and that might just be lethal if he can get enough lands in hand. It basically makes each land in his hand an extra point of damage, so that flashback could be very painful. It can actually kill a Planeswalker. So Bryan now has Tron online. He's also taken 5 points of damage, which I neglected to update. It's going to put him to 13. And he's stirrings for Khan. Khan is going to come down. I would absolutely exile the green source right about now, but I'm sure it's Khan. Oh, he's thinking hard. The mighty colorless dude from Mirrodin / Euphorexia. This is a Euphorexia guy. Khan liberated. +4. So he enters on 4. His +4 is. Does he enter on 6? I don't even know how large Khan is. Let's have a look. Khan enters on 6, and his +4 takes him to 10. It says exile a card from target player's hand, and that's what he's going to do. He's going to go up. I think he's going to try and race James to a Khan ulti here. James chooses to exile a wooded foothills underneath Khan. Khan's on 10. The creatures are large enough to eventually chip away at Khan's gigantic toughness, but it's going to take a while. James is dealing 5 at the moment. Khan goes up 4 every turn. I still feel pretty comfortable in James's shoes. Personally, I think Bryan should have exiled the green source to stop him from activating the life from the loam. Although he does have the mana confluence in his hand, he does have a wooded foothills, so that's kind of inconsequential, really. Perhaps just go for the hand. Khan flag rate probably kills Khan here, so he plays a red source. He costs life from the loam. Oh, there it is. No, he's dredging for his turn. Okay, he needs to get it in his hand first, so he dredges for life from the loam. Not really sure what he's put there. Looks like more Faithless Lootings. He's got all 4 Faithless Lootings in the graveyard, and that puts the life from the loam in his grip. Looks like he's moving to combat, and Narcomoeba and both Bloodghasts. Narcomoeba is being sent at Khan. That's what it looks like. Bloodghasts are going at Bryan's face. Try and put him down below 10 so that if the Bloodghasts do die, they have haste. I assume this is for life from the loam. So Bryan's taking the damage. Puts him to 9. And James is thinking about what to do with that life from the loam. I do believe it's the second red source he needs to find, although he has plenty in his hand. It's just raw material right now. One of the best cards in my opinion, but then again, I am in love with the graveyard, so my opinion's not really relevant here. But he's drawn 3 cards of life from the loam. He plays the mana confluence, taps it for whatever color, it's going to deal him a point of damage. I think what's more relevant is what he's going to cost off of that. James thinking about what color to make. This is a really slow game. Floats. Red. Ancient Grudge destroys. Floats green and grudges the map. Oh, we're in bad shape here, Dredge player. Khan has got so much board presence. It is one of the bombiest permanents. Oh my! Oh god, that's bad. Ulamog. He's gonna exile both of those Bloodghasts. That's real bad. Haste or not, those guys can't come back from exile, so the Bloodghasts are gone. That's basically all of the pressure James had on board is now in the bye-bye land. Gigantic Khan in the table. James is now basically on a 1 turn. I'm sure that he's got so few cards in his library that exile off Ulamog's attack trigger might just kill him immediately. I mean, now he's really got to think about whether he's going to dredge or not, because his library is a resource he can't afford to spend now. Ulamog eats it. He eats everything. He eats life totals, he eats libraries, he eats permanents. He really is a very, very hungry boy. James casts his stirrings, and he finds another one of those things. I think it was a con. I wasn't really paying attention. I'm just blown away by the power of Ulamog. James untaps, thinks about his life. Now he's got some decisions to make. Because dredging is, it's going to put him in danger of being decked by Ulamog. It would be fine if he just put the cards into the graveyard, but he just sends them into exile, and it's 20 at a time. So James at most has 2 attacks to survive from the Ulamog. Either way, he takes it to his life total or he blocks. Ulamog is going to kill him in 2 swings. I don't think his deck has any way to deal with it. Ulamog is indestructible. You can send as much damage as you want at it. There's no exile in the Dredge deck. He could perhaps try and go around it. Yeah, he's counting his library. And that's not great. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. I see at least 21 cards on the playmat. And I think he's got 3 in his hand. So that's 23 out of his library already. It's already a third gone, more than a third. So Ulamog is a 2-turn clock, even without damage. Possibly more. I can't see the things he's exiled. Khan looks like he's on 11 loyalty, which is very close to ulti range. James is now staring down the barrel of, 3 different cannons here. He doesn't even have enough eyes to look at all of them. It's Ulamog's damage, Ulamog's maul. Khan chewing up his board in hand, and eventually ultiing. There's another Khan in Bryan's hand. He's in a bit of a tough spot here. Must say I underestimated Khan a little bit there, but that guy's got a lot of impact. Just the psychological effect it has on your opponents. It makes them make horrible decisions. It's like, oh dear, Khan is gonna kill me. Yeah, Nakamibu can't attack here. You gotta try and survive. Ulamog doesn't have reach though, so he's dead in 2 turns. I don't think it matters whether he attacks with the Nakamibu or not. James is having a long, hard think about what to do here. That's tough. That's really tough. Even if he can muster enough blockers to chomp off the Ulamog, he's just going to run out of resources at some point. It looks like that Ulamog basically just whacked the nails into his coffin there. Just wiggling in his seat uncomfortably. He doesn't know what to do here. Nakamibu goes in. And it's straight at Bryan's life total. He takes the damage. Bryan down to 8. I think that James needs to make as wide a board as possible here. It's his only chance. It would be playing into a Pyroclasm, or an Ugin coming down. But he's got to try something. That is amazing. Ulamog just brought that game to a standstill. Very slow paced. I think James needs to make a decision here. Both players shifting uncomfortably in their seats. James is thinking hard here. He's deep in that tank. Okay, it looks like he's made a decision. And it's Wooded Foothills. Crack puts him down to 18. Anything above 10 here is fine, since he's going to be taking chunks of half of his life from anyway. It's a mountain. Presents his deck. Interesting choice, playing with clear sleeves. Means your cards have to be in pristine condition. Although James has got a habit of keeping things in very good condition. He's a avid collector. What is he thinking? I am so curious to find out what his line is. I don't think he has a way out of this. He's going to flashback a Faith is Looting. And it's do or die. He's just going for the dredge. No, he's just draw. That's a Cathartic Reunion and what looks like a Dakmore salvage that he's drawing. I think he's dumping the salvage and he's discarding a Steam Vents. What is it, man? What is it? I think he is going for the conflagrate kill. So if he can get in another point of damage and 7 cards in his hand, then the conflagrate is lethal. And that's what he's going for. He's going to Life from the Loam up so that he's got 7 cards in the grip. So see as he counts his hand, how many he has there. I believe that's a full grip. I think he might just have this. All that he needs to do is untap with the Narcomoeba. Ulamog putting real pressure on his library though. He keeps counting it to make sure that he's not just dead. He's got to pass the turn here. Bryan confidently untapping, just drawing a card. I don't think he feels like he needs to do much. I don't think he realizes how close to dead he might be. I think at this stage he just goes 10 Ulamog sideways, find out how his opponent reacts, and then hope for the best. Is Khan going to exile the Narcomoeba? That might just be the correct play. No, Khan goes up to chew a card out of Bryan's hand. I mean, James's hand. What are you giving him? I think James gives him another land. So no, it's a Narcomoeba. It looks like a Narcomoeba that James has given him. So he goes plus con, crack this Chromatic Sphere, and it's Hugin. Yes, it is. The game is over. There's no way James comes back from this. That is terrible. Bolts the Narcomoeba. If James can dredge into 8 lands and okay, so it's 10 in Ulamog, exile 20 cards, and he's got 3 left, so that's his out. It's Dredge from the Life from the Loam, for the Life from the Loam. Hope to hit 3 lands, put Conflagrate in the graveyard, and flash it back for 8 damage. That's the line. This is such a shockingly scary board state, but I think he knows what he's doing here. Just flips his library over. He's got 3 cards left. That's it. Dredge 3. I don't need to draw. He's counting his hand to make sure that this could possibly happen. If he's got 3 lands in the graveyard, I think he might have this. He's just counting. That's 1. Alright, and he went down to 17 off that fetch, and then Ulamog chomped him for 10, so he's on 7 points of life. Conflagrate. No, first. First things first. He's at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 cards in the grip. He needs to find a way to use this Conflagrate effectively. But I think he can do this. So he casts Life from the Loam. No. Okay, so that's it. He cracks the fetch land, goes for the Life from the Loam, gets Bloodghast. That's 2 points of damage with the Bloodghast. Bryan's on 8. I think that's lethal. It looks like he might just have it. Attacks for 2. Puts Bryan down to 6 points of life. And he flashes back the Conflagrate for lethal. What? Oh my word. Really smart play there by James. Preserving the cards in his hand so that he could finish off with the Conflagrate. So close. Ulamog put him down to just the right amount of cards for that Dredge. Ugin threatening to just, do all the bad things to him. And he shows him his hand. He's just sitting stacked, double con, just ready for anything. But the Dredge player emerges victorious. 2-0 to James Combrink.